It's going live. Hey guys, is this thing working? Test, 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 test. Hey, hey, hey. This is a little unscheduled bonus video. Just going to talk a little bit about the Perilous Island campaign, what's happened so far, and then we're also going to be talking about what's next. This is going to be a lot of fun. I hope you guys have been watching these games. These games are played live on Sunday, so you can watch every minute of it. You can join us with questions or any suggestions that you have. I'm going to check my audio, make sure I got a little bit. Hey, look what we have here. Michael, thank you so much for jumping on here, buddy. Okay, I think I have audio. There. So, hey everybody, this is Dave here at Pulp Alley, and this is a live update for our Perilous Island campaign. This is for the Pulp Alley tabletop skirmish game. Lots of fun, super awesome game. And this is the very first campaign that was written for it. Now, there are actually several campaigns, books that are available now. Not only is there Perilous Island, there's Vice Alley and Tomb of the Serpent and Lost World of Lemuria. Maybe I'm forgetting one. Maybe that's all of them. Let's see. Look up there. Okay. That's probably it. But right now we've gone back for the first campaign for us to do live on our videos. We've been playing through every scenario in the Perilous Island book. It's a lot of fun. You guys can play along at home. You can play through the book as well and kind of see how your leagues compare against the leagues that we're playing through. So far, we've played 3 scenarios. We started in Hidalgo, Mexico, and that's where the adventurer leagues, the player character leagues, have been brought in to find out what happened to the missing Darrow expedition. Lord Darrow's a famous world renowned explorer and archaeologist, and he has been hunting years and years for a missing civilization, a lost civilization that he believes he's going to be able to track down. A lot of people think he's crazy, but did he find it? His expedition is missing, hasn't been heard from. So now you got to try and figure out what happened to the Darrow expedition. It starts off in Hidalgo, Mexico, and that's where you go to track down his youngest daughter to find out what she knows. And she received some letters from him. Last thing that she said was he was sending a package to a friend of his in Athens. So from Hidalgo, Mexico, they head towards Athens, but along the way, they have an adventure in Casablanca. That was scenario number 2, called The Final Flight. Let's see. What do you want to know about? In scenario 1, it was Michael Greenhill and Matt Spence were playing, and they were playing the Lucky Dundee and his wife and Millie. And then Matt Spence was playing Minerva. That's right, Minerva and Ramjit and her mercenaries. So Minerva did really well in that first scenario and got a good head start. At the Final Flight in Casablanca, that was gosh, now I don't remember who was it in Casablanca. That was Michael Greenhill playing the Dundee Scholars again, but he was up against the Raven Squadron. Very cool scenario there where you have to board the airplane and try and escape out of Casablanca. Wonderful scenario. Now, just this last week, Matt Spence returned to the campaign with Minerva's League, and he was taking on the Phantom Agents, and that's their first scenario so far for the campaign, in the scenario called At Death's Door, where they're trying to find a crate that Lord Darrow sent to a friend of his in Athens. And in that scenario, the Phantom agents did fairly well and got away with the crate. So they have some information now that will help them along the way. I guess the big thing that they found out was that the crate had some very interesting artifacts in it. And they're not going to tell a whole lot about that so far. But the other thing about the crate, the information that they gained, was the fact that it came from Soerabaja. So next stop is Dutch Indonesia, and they're taking off for the Pacific Islands and heading to Soerabaja. So that is the next stop. They're trying to figure out if he was there, what was he doing in Soerabaja, and is he still there? So that's where they're headed now. The campaign is interesting because, unlike the other games that we had been playing on Sunday, this time we're kind of keeping track of stuff. Hey, Jim Stewart, thank you so much for jumping on here. Mortus 005. Smartass Podcast is on here. Eco Lion is on here. Thank you so much for jumping on here, buddy. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that or not. Maybe help me out there. Bessie Webb is on here. I think she's supposed to be at work right now. So she's probably sitting in her office, chatting away, being all cool. All right. So one of the things that we're doing different for the campaign is actually keeping track of things like reputation and assets and resources and experience points and things like that. So let's talk a little bit about how the leagues get those. And it's very easy to understand. You get what you earn. And what you earn is actually on the bottom of the reward cards. So over the course of the scenario, you're going to get one or more of the reward cards, the plot points. You got to remember, in Pulp Alley, this is really what decides who the winner and losers of the games are. It's not just about fighting each other. It is very much about what information you can gather. It's all about playing the story, not just about fighting each other. If you spend the whole scenario fighting, and not grabbing some of these plot points, you're going to have a hard time. That's just not the way Pulp Alley's intended to be played. It's not that you're not going to have a lot of fun. You know what? More power to you. If that's how you like to play, if you want to set your guys up and then just go at it, because hey, I do that too sometimes. Sometimes I'll sit down and play a scenario, and for that scenario, I'll just say, screw it. I don't care about the plot points. I just want to beat up some people. So that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, if you do not go after your plot points, you're just not really playing the story. And that's what that's supposed to represent. So when you pick up a reward card, it's going to have two things on it. It's going to have a scenario bonus, and it's going to have a league reward. The scenario bonus is at the top, and that's something that only counts during the scenario. It only counts during the scenario, and once the scenario ends, that bonus is gone and no longer applies. But what does apply after the scenario ends, that's when you get the league reward, and that's at the bottom half of the card. So if you hold on to that card until the scenario ends, you get a super nice goodie at the bottom. This particular card says +1 experience, and most of your experience points are going to come from this card. There is only one of these cards out of the 5. So you're lucky to get this maybe every other game, and that's if you're really staying focused on it. I've seen people go after this. If somebody finds this early on in the scenario, like the whole scenario could then turn into both sides really try to just see who could get the experience card out of there. This is pretty important when you're playing a campaign. So don't underestimate the importance of that experience card when you're playing a campaign. The other things you can get are contact resources, backup resources. gear, resources. And then the next time you play, you can use those resources as they accumulate. You can use those resources to buy temporary bonuses like your gear and your backup. With a backup point, you can buy a new character that will only be with you for that one scenario, right? Just for that one scenario. Um, so with one backup point, you can get a level 1 character that will help you for that one scenario. For if you want to spend 2 backup points, then you can get a level 2 character to help you for that scenario, or you could get 2 level 1 characters, and on and on. With the gear points, you can use those gear points to buy cool items that you can use in the next scenario. And again, it's only good for one scenario. And one of the reasons that we do that they're only kind of temporary bonuses, is to stop the leagues from getting too unbalanced. You see? So you're going to get a few cool things when you finish that scenario, and you can spend them in the next scenario, or you can save them. But either way, they're not going to be like long-term things that are going to help you on and on and on and keep helping you. And that keeps the leagues very close and balanced. The things that do help you permanently are experience. And again, that's another reason why that experience card is so valuable, because when you use the experience card, you can buy a new ability for a character equal. It costs a number of experience points equal to the level of the character. So if you want to give your leader another ability, that's going to cost you 4 experience points. And that's a hard thing to come up with. It's going to take you time and a lot of effort to get 4 experience points. But once you buy that ability, it stays with that character forever, not just until the end of that campaign. It stays with that character. That becomes part of that character. So really, really cool. So let's talk a little bit about where we are so far. Hey, Smartass Podcast, thank you for jumping on here. Is that Eli or Chris? So far, David Lowe has played 1 scenario, and they did very well in At Death's Door. They're up to 4 reputation, and reputation bonuses are another thing that once you earn, they always stay with you. And your first bonus comes at 10 reputation. And they're not huge, bonuses, but they kind of grow over time. Matt Spence has played 2 scenarios. He currently has a backup point and a contact point, and he's up to 5 reputation. So he's halfway towards his first reputation bonus. And if I remember right, what the reputation bonus does is that the first one, I think it lets you re-roll your random event at the start of the scenario. So not a big deal, but could be helpful. Michael Greenhill, the Dundee Scholars, they've played 2 scenarios. They currently have 2 reputation and 2 resources. They have a contacts and a tips. Vern Jeske has played 1 scenario. He has 2 resources. He has a backup and a gear, and he also has 2 reputation. The next scenario that we're playing is Soerabaja Manhunt. So let's talk a little bit about that. You want to hear some of the secrets about Soerabaja Manhunt? So as it turns out, yes, indeed, Lord Darrow was in Soerabaja for quite a while. This is probably years ago, or at least a couple years ago. Oh, look at that. So he was there for, hey, Chris, how you doing? Thank you for jumping on here. Let's see. He was in Soerabaja. He gathered up an expedition, and that's where they left from. But it was all very hush-hush, and it was all very secretive. However, a few months after they left, a handful of survivors, maybe like 3 or 4 survivors, returned to Soerabaja in really, really bad shape after, a long time without food or good water. And they were put into the hospital. Several of them died, and only one of them is still alive. And he escaped from the hospital and is now hiding somewhere in the city of Soerabaja. Now that survivor, if you could find them and convince them to tell you, they may have some important information about what happened to the Daro expedition. So that's what we're doing next. And the next two players are, I think Matt Spence is playing again, Minerva's Mercenaries, and Michael Greenhill with the Dundee Scholars will be searching the city of Soerabaja for the old sailor, crazy, crazy sailor who was driven mad. He is insane, and it's going to be a lot of fun. All right. I think that's all I'm going to cover today. Do I have any questions on here? I don't think so. I don't see anything there. Did Rami decide to do harrowing challenge? I don't think that has been decided. Hey, Joe Little, thank you for jumping on here. I don't. I don't know that Matt has decided that yet. He does have the option of doing the harrowing escape with Rami or any of his level 2 allies as well. Now they would have a hard time. Rami probably has a better shot at completing a harrowing escape, but if you fail it, um, it could cause you some harm. In my opinion, I like going for it, and I don't know that I'd send all 3 of my allies through it, but I might send one and Rami through there if it was me, because I think it's a great way to pick up more assets, even if they fail. Um, oh well, you give it a shot. That's a big part of Pulp Alley, is those decisions that you make along the way, and that risk and reward sort of mentality. You've got to risk something if you want to get that reward. So that's where you have to decide that. So good question there. Thank you for asking. All right, I guess we're going to call it there. Thank you so much for joining us today. We will see you on Thursday, couple times on Thursday. Roll those credits and cue the music. Da 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 dee 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 dee. Da 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 dee dee dee.